I have my brother, Aaron Tonello, my sister, Stacy Tonello, and my mother, Laura Tonello, here to view my speech. I am currently studying to get my business management degree here at Liberty University online. From that, you really can go into any type of business, and I have chosen that I would like to become an event coordinator. An event coordinator is also an event manager, a meeting manager, or a conference coordinator. The reason why I chose this field of study is because I like the fact that you can see the people who you are serving and see how they like your service. I like the fact and the satisfaction of seeing that I please somebody. There are different steps to being an event coordinator. The first step is you need to know the purpose, whether it's a banquet, a prom, a wedding, or a business function. You also need to know the place in which you are at. It could be a country club, which is more of a high end. It could be at a church. It could be at a campground or a smaller venue or even a hotel. You also need to make sure you know the fine details now that the easy part is over. This can be a very difficult part because the fine details can become very tedious and frustrating. Not only do you need to make sure you have the proper staff. For example, if you have a wedding of 300 people, you're not going to want to have only 10 servers on hand. You also want to make sure that all the decorations are coordinated. The theme, the color of the napkins, the color of the tablecloths, and the centerpieces all have to go hand in hand. In fact, this is actually a very important piece of the puzzle because your presentation is everything. Your presentation is something that, say if there's 300 people at a wedding, that's 300 possible clients. If you have a good event that looks good, people are going to want to call you back. Another thing is the budget. You want to make sure that your client knows their budget and that you know their budget. You want to make sure they stay in their budget. They may want to go up to some higher end napkin or higher end tablecloths, but if it's too extravagant, you want to make sure that you keep it at a cheaper range but still looking good. The two main skills that I'm going to need to learn is communication and organization. You need to be able to communicate well with your client, you need to know what they want, when they want it, and you need to, most importantly, be able to communicate that with your staff. If your staff doesn't know what the client wants, the event is not going to go over well. If the staff doesn't know when to bring the food out, when to bring the cake out, when to serve the water, you're going to have a relapse in the time frame. You need to make sure that when you're organized, there are problems that aren't overlooked, like double booking, understaffing, or even forgetting about the event completely. This is when majoring in the minors is a good thing. You can never be over-organized when you're an event planner. You also need to remember that this is a fast-paced and high-energy job. You're always going to be on the go. You can't just sit back and relax. You need to make sure that you have a sustainable event management. You need to make sure that your event is socially, economically sustainable. You need to make sure that it is hosted and organized right. The environment needs to be safe for all ages and all ethnic groups. If you're doing a junior prom, you're not going to want to serve alcohol, for instance. Or if you're doing an event for a Christian group, you're not going to want to play a bunch of secular music. You also need to make sure that entertainment is provided. Some people are going to want to provide their own entertainment, but if they do, you need to make sure you have mic stands there or a screen projector, for example. Equipment needs to be there, and you always need to make sure that that's your job. In conclusion, we see that being an event coordinator is a lot of work. You need to be organized, creative, fun, but reasonable. Some people don't know what they want, and you need to be able to come up with ideas to provide for them, to choose from, such as food, tablecloth, napkin, etc. You need to know your stuff, and you need to be flexible with what the client wants. You can't afford or compromise for a cheaper napkin if they want a higher-end napkin. The event needs to be run smoothly, which means you need to fill in the gaps if there are any. This is the main reason in which I want to be an event coordinator. You need to be a servant. If a server can't make it to a table on time, you need to fill in that gap. In Mark 9:35 it says, "And he sat down and called the 12 and said to them, 'If anyone be first, then they must be last of all and servant of all.'" Jesus was the man in charge, and yet he was still willing to serve. As an event coordinator, you're going to be the man in charge, but you need to be willing to wipe the dirt off somebody's feet. Thank you.